I have one question for you. Who is going to bring the fun?
You're in the honky tonk with Todd, the Data Cowboy.
Okay, that is the question we are going to answer today on this episode of Bring the Fun podcast. The podcast that's going to introduce you to the most fun people in the line dance industry. We'll be publishing the podcast pretty much every month. And we want to make sure that if you have anybody that you think are the most fun people in the industry, that you recommend to do the podcast with them as well. So if you have anybody that you want to call out or you want to see on our podcast, just email me at the email is I'm in at bringthefun.dance. And remember, it's .dance, not .com. So we are super excited and thrilled today to have one of the leaders in our line dance industry on our podcast. This girl is incredible, super positive. Ever since day one, I met her years ago. Incredible in California and now all over the country. Adia Nuno of Adia Dance. Welcome to the podcast, Adia.
Thank you, Todd. I'm very, very happy, thankful, honored to be here.
Yeah. So Adia is the founder of Adia Dance. She started that in 2021. She is also one of the ambassadors of fun for the Bring the Fun line dance app, the app for every line dancer. She's been a huge contributor to that, spreading the word all over the country about improving line dancing and making sure that all dancers have a chance to enjoy the dancing. I love her mission statement, her mantra, all out as is. I totally believe in it. Everything that she does is about, helping all the dancers, helping everybody, making sure that they have a positive impact and positive influence in their life from line dancing. And she's going to tell us kind of all about that. So really, really excited to get into that today. So I want to start out kind of just asking your background, like how did you get started in line dancing, Adia?
Oh my goodness. Always a loaded question. But I will say simply, back in 2017, in the midst of a dark time in my life, I was looking for something to bring some light and stumbled into a country bar. This is the short version, of course. Stumbled into a country bar here in Southern California, and they just so happened to be doing a line dance that was really entertaining to me, and it looked like a challenge, and it looked like it was a lot of fun, and I had recently fallen in love with country music. And so yeah, I basically showed up that day. I was greeted and welcomed by some amazing people and pretty much never looked back.
Yeah, I would say line dancers are probably some of the most friendliest people in the world. Is if you participate, they welcome you with open arms, and you've done that to thousands, if not tens of thousands of dancers over your life, I'm sure.
Well, thank you. It's paying it forward for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So Adia Dance, that's clear how you came up with that name. How did you decide on the Kickstart name for your other activities with the events and the Kickstart instructor training?
Well, great question. So it's actually Adia Dance was originally All Out Dance with Adia.
Oh, cool.
And I actually founded that in 2019, but I was official in 2021. And so yeah, All Out Dance, I was thinking about what is it that describes the way I feel, or what describes me, like what's my brand? Everyone's got these brand names. And I was like, I don't know, I just always go all out. Like that's what it should be, is All Out Dance with Adia. And then at one point I got some guidance and advice from someone who's pretty good at brands, and they said that was very long. That was a long name. We need to shorten it. About Adia Dance. And I was like, well, that works. And so instantly kind of changed all the branding, did the LLC, all the things. But when it came to the other events and the other businesses, which I'm losing track of how many I have right now, but Kickstart Country, my business partner at the time that I founded it with, it was sounded like a cool name, and it was supposed to be, as it is, an umbrella for so many events. So it's kind of the umbrella event. So the Kickstart just kind of felt like, hey, this is kind of the beginning, and then everything goes out from there. This is the mothership right here. So this is where you get your start, and then everything else kind of is fueled by this machine. So that's kind of where Kickstart Country came in, and I love it because it I think it's a really motivating an inclusive type name, because everyone starts somewhere, and that's part of my story and my mantras that I share all the time. It's like, hey, we all started at the beginning. Wherever you're at is exactly where you're supposed to be. Let's kickstart your journey from right where you're at. So that's where Kickstart came from. for me.
Yeah, I love it. And then in recent years now you have Kickstart instructor training, which I'm a member of. Incredible program helping people that really are starting out in line dancing, or started out dancing in line dancing, want to become instructors. Incredible tools that you and Tara and everybody have built out with the Kickstart instructor training. So we'll talk about that a little bit later on in the podcast. But how did you transition when you started dancing, getting into line dancing? How did you decide, oh, I'm actually going to be an instructor for line dancing?
Yeah, so I went to a line dance convention called Vegas Dance Explosion. In fact, I think you and I have danced there.
I love Vegas Dance Explosion. It is incredible. Yes, I saw you out there. That was the first one I went to. You were there. It was great.
Yeah. So that I found that in 2018, someone kind of hinted that there was this line dance event where you do all these cool things. And I was like, tell me about it. And it was like pulling teeth trying to get information. But I ended up going and my mind was blown. I was like, this is so cool. All these dances that I would have never learned before, all the different genres. And it was just really life-changing. And for the first time, I felt like I was really able to express myself through different genres of dance that I hadn't been able to before. And I'd always wanted to be a dancer, but thought that ship had sailed. So Vegas Dance Explosion really provided me that opportunity. But when I went home, no one else knew the dances. And so I shared the dances that I learned on social media, and people were like, what's that dance? Where'd you learn it? How do I learn it? And I was like, it's at this one place that happens once a year, and I have no idea where else you can find this stuff. And so I was like, how about I'll just teach you? And so I planned to teach about 4 or 5 friends, and that 4 or 5 friends turned into a class of about 20, 25 people on day one. And I was like, okay, I'm not just showing someone a dance, I'm now teaching. So I kind of threw myself into it in that way because I just wanted more people to dance with, and I wanted them to be able to have the same joy that I had experienced with these different styles. So that's where it all started, was right there. And partner dancing was a little different. Partner dancing, which I love, and that was also my dream, was to be like Dirty Dancing is just my favorite movie ever. And it
Oh,
is
there you
still my goal to be on Dancing with the Stars. I figured I got to be a pro or a star, and I'm probably not going to be a pro, so I got to work my way to stardom. That's exactly what all this is about. I'm just kidding. It's
There we
totally.
go. There we go. Well, you have a huge following that's going to help push you there. You at least have a lot of fans there. For
So,
sure.
but yeah, I really wanted to partner dance, and being in California at the time, there was a lot of ladies who wanted to dance and a lot of guys who had no idea what they were doing. So I was like, okay, how do we fix this problem? Teach them to dance. So I found someone who knew what they were doing, and I was like, hey, you want to teach with me? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, hey, can you teach me what to do? And then we will teach other people. And so that's why I got started partner dancing. I just wanted more people to dance with. And in turn, that created a world of, countless more people to dance with now that with all the events and everything that we're doing. So I got my own selfish wish, but also I know and I hope that it continues to be beneficial for everyone who wants to get out there on the dance floor, just having the opportunity for instruction and training, which didn't really exist in our realm for the most part with country swing at the
Yeah,
time.
and I love it the way like almost all your events are a mix of both line dancing and partner dancing. We have a huge group from Virginia coming down to Nashville Dance Fest, and they just love it because they can do both swing and they can do line dancing. And so you've done a great job of mixing all of that together. Really, really great.
Thank you.
So you became an instructor pretty quick because everybody wanted to learn the cool dances that you were learning. At what point did you also decide to like, oh, now that I'm an instructor, now I'm going to start choreographing my own line dances? How did that transition happen?
Ooh, I love that question. So I have a little tiny bit of background in choreography when it comes to cheerleading. So the idea of kind of creating something that has feeling was exciting for me. And ultimately, I went to Vegas Dance Explosion and saw the choreography contest. And the thing that was the most appealing was that the people who won they earned themselves a chance to teach at Vegas Dance Explosion the following year. And so I was like, wait a minute, is this a thing where you can like earn your way to teach at these events? And for me, what that meant was dance for free. That was just my goal. I just wanted to be able to do more dancing and like travel the country, but also not, have it break the bank. And so that was actually my goal, was just, okay, if I win, I get to teach. Let me create something and see how I do. I decided I would give myself 16 routines because that was my favorite number. That is my favorite number.
Yeah.
And I just said, all right, I'll give it 16 routines. And if they don't take, then this is not like my thing, and that's okay. But I'll treat myself anyway. So Joe Thompson, I had seen her that year at the Joe Thompson Samansky, and she
Yeah.
had her, for me, famous Joe Thompson boots, the custom painted just for her, not another pair of them like them in the world. And I was like, oh my God, where did you get those? And she's like, they're custom. You can't get them, but I can tell you who made them. And so I made it a goal that once I finished 16 dances, I would buy myself my own pair of Joe Thompson boots.
Oh,
So
wow. Fantastic. Yeah, that's a great self-incentive program.
yeah. So I started choreographing, and it wasn't in so I started in 2019, I believe. And I started in January, and the first couple dances, like I think the first one, I don't even know if I finished it. And I was like, these are okay, but my intention was never to put them in the bar because I did not want them to be scrutinized, because I'm on the dance floor as people are saying their opinion about different dances. And I didn't want them to say those about my dances because they were really special and close to my heart. But on the fifth dance, it was to Thomas Rhett's Look What God Gave Her. And I really loved that song because it actually hit me at a time when I was needing to let go of some like work stuff, some gigs that were not really in my best health benefit, just for like stress sake. And so as soon as it was interesting. I chose the song, hadn't had a dance to it. As soon as in the moment that I let that job go, when I said, you know what, I'm not going to do that anymore. This amount of money is not worth my sanity. It was like the weight of the world fell from my shoulders, and the dance just came to me in that moment. I was sitting at my son's baseball game, actually. I was sitting at
Wow, that's
Aaron.
great.
Y'all know Aaron, his baseball game when he was in high school, and the dance just came to me. And I really wanted to highlight women and just like give them a platform and show them off, and give these dancers maybe who wouldn't necessarily make it into a music video, or maybe that's not even their goal, but just give them attention and elevate them and give them a platform. And so that's what I aimed to do with what God gave her. So I ended up getting a handful of dancers together. We did like a little music video, and I just so happened, as it would work out, I know by divine design, that Thomas Rhett was releasing his music video the day after I released mine. So everyone was looking for his, but they found mine.
Oh, nice.
And that kind of like started more of a wildfire of my choreography
There you
being,
go. Social media tip. Put your dance out the day before the big
oh my
song comes
gosh. Absolutely. Everyone was looking for it. Everyone was looking for it. So yeah, so that's how I transitioned. But my goal was to win spots. I ended up competing the whole year. I won multiple competitions. And the end goal was to actually win the USLDCC, that's the choreography nationals, because the winner of that got to teach in England. And so to teaching across the world was just like, okay, that's the ultimate prize. That's what I'm after. And by the grace of God, that's what I won.
That's awesome. And which dance did you do for that one?
I was able to bring about 5 dances, I think, to finals, because you get a spot for each, for like there's
For
a,
each win,
yeah.
each qualifier. Yep.
Exactly. And so the dance that I actually won with, it was apparently, and anyone can fact check me on this, but I believe that it was the first ever beginner dance that was the national winner, and it was Midnight Mess Round.
Oh, fantastic.
So
Very
yeah.
great. So tell us a little bit about your choreography process. Like, how do you come up with the dance moves and the combinations and pick the songs? What's your process?
That's a great question. So my process is that, first of all, I choose not to choreograph unless I'm inspired. So I'm not in it to have the best dance or the best choreography. I'm in it to express myself through the song. And so number one, I don't do it unless I feel it. Now, sometimes those feelings may be inspired by something different, like something that's not just pure passion for the love of the song. It might be a different inspiration, but I never choreograph unless I'm inspired. So that's the first thing. The second thing is I listen to the song over and over, and I'm very visual, like my mind works very with images. And so I imagine like what my body wants to do with it. Like I imagine kind of movements. I've choreographed a lot of dances while sitting in my car, not moving my feet at all, just kind of like imagining it and then getting up and trying what I created in my mind. So once I do that, then it's just a matter of kind of tweaking, playing, and and many times getting feedback. It depends on the purpose. I got a lot of feedback when I was competing because I had a goal to win. In general, I'm less interested in a ton of people's feedback because it's my heart. So how do you give a ton of feedback on, someone's like super heart passion? With that said, I know the difference between a solid 10 dance and also a not so solid 10 dance. And not all of my dances are a 10, but some of them are pretty good.
That's great. That's great. So besides doing choreography and teaching, you also you run, the whole Adia Dance business and all of the things you're doing with Kickstart. What are some of the challenges that you faced, or, any tips you can give people that are facing these challenges in kind of the line dance or the dance business?
That's a big question there. I would say when it comes to choreography, there's definitely a school of thought, and I think this is a great school of thought. I'm not always super in alignment with it, but I do think it's a great school of thought in general. When it comes to choreography, as I mentioned, I choreograph when I'm inspired. I don't typically look and research how many people already have something to this dance, because my purpose is not to create a number one dance. And the reason why I mention this is because you can get into a little bit of quarrels if your purpose is to create a number one dance, and there's already a handful of people, or maybe people who already have a dance out to that same song. That could potentially cause some turmoil for yourself in the dance community. I personally think that's very unfortunate, because I think people should choreograph what they want and people should dance what they want, but it is something. So I would say that if your goal is to not step on any toes or create turmoil, and you really want to create a number one dance, and you have plans to put it out there and get it spread, it would be good to check and see what kind of dances are there, just to save, and which ones are already on Copper Knob and which ones have already, have choreographers attached to it, and maybe they're already popular, so that might influence your decision and save you a little bit of heartache in one way or another.
Yeah, very, very good advice. We see that chatter all the time when there's 16 dances to the same song.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I said, my standpoint is we live in a free country and people should be able to choose. And if my people want to do my dance and someone else wants to do someone else's, more power to them. That is my position. And I
Yeah,
don't.
and it tends to be fairly regional as well. So you go, all over the country, and one region does a totally different dance to the same song.
Yeah, I think
I always run out to the dance floor really excited to do the dance, and then I'm like, oh no, it's a totally different one.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and another piece of advice, I'll add a piece of advice with that, is like, I would encourage people to embrace that. Like, whether it means you go out and you do your version and it's just you, as long as that's allowed at the facility and it's not interrupting or disrupting the dance floor. The dance space is made to express yourself. And so if there is the opportunity, do it. I love fake ID. Everywhere I go, it's different. I don't complain about it. I just join in whatever they're doing. I'll just figure out what it is they're doing on the dance floor. But I know that could be another point, of just frustration. On that same line, I would say because we live in, we're part of the human race, drama is in the nature of just human beings, because we are hormonal and ever changing, and everyone's got their things that they're going through from one minute to the next, one day to the next. I would say when you're out at the dance space, protect your energy. And one way that you can do that is to not involve yourself in like the drama at hand, to the best of your ability. If someone is wanting to gossip, it's a great idea to get on the dance floor and just dance. Because the more you infiltrate your space with the negativity, the more that dance container is not as safe as it once was. That place of just freedom and expression, it can get tainted with kind of ugly stuff. So
Yeah, I love that. Get on the dance floor. That's where the positiveness is. Yep.
yeah,
Stay out of the drama for sure.
yeah.
So how many kind of between teaching and events and workshops, how many do you do a year? Or what do you kind of like have a cadence of what you're trying to do each year?
I think that's an ever-changing cadence. So at one point, I was doing tons and tons of private lessons, weekly workshops, and then lots of events. Now with Kickstart, we've got a handful. We've got like 6 or 7 or 8, but with the country dance party tour, it's an event that's that's meant to be a collaborative event with different community leaders. So far we have 4 on the agenda for 2025. So that kind of increases our number of events. But in general, I have been sticking in general to kind of like the bigger events, like the more things that are a 2 or 3 day weekend. But I do make sure to get into the bars and into the community, ideally once a month, if not once every 6 weeks. And that looks like me guest teaching somewhere and just, being amongst the community, because that's really important to me. And also, as I'm building Kickstart and building Kit, and I actually have a few other projects I'm working on one for non-dancers to help introduce them to dance. That takes a lot of time and energy, and it's really fun to be creating the things that people go to and not always having to be the person, like, in the weekly routine.
Yeah, I mean, I love how diverse your schedule is, doing all different kinds of things. I mean, things in the community, things with your retreats, things, line dancing, swing dancing, couples dancing. You kind of are out there doing all those different things. What's your mix between when you're teaching? Are you teaching more couples dancing now versus line dance, or is it about, what's the percentages?
Yeah, it shifts. I would say it's around 50-50. I would say it shifts. But yeah, at any given event, I do my best to represent both line and partner dancing, but I ultimately want to do whatever is in the best interest of the event. And if that means I'm only teaching line, then I'm only teaching line. If I'm only teaching partner, then I'm only teaching partner. I'll get out there and do like a demo for line just so I got to line dance at the event. But yeah, so it definitely it fluctuates. I wouldn't say that. I would just say 50-50 at this point and see where it lies at each location.
Nice. So a little bit about kind of your teaching and your techniques. Like, how do you decide what you're going to teach, or where you're going to teach and what you're going to teach?
Well, what I'm going to teach ultimately depends on what the community needs. So when I'm invited to teach somewhere, I will often ask the leader there, like, what do you believe that your community needs? What would you love your students to learn? And then I base my lessons off of that. In terms of getting content or getting content to teach, one of my favorite resources, actually, one of our subscriptions, it's called our Kickstart Gold subscription, where we have collected hundreds of recap videos from all of our classes from the various Kickstart events and all the different styles, genres, and levels. And so when I'm looking for something like I'm going to teach an intermediate country swing, I'll go to the Kickstart Gold subscription. I'll look under intermediate country swing and I'll have a whole list of all of the different instructors like Dance with Gabe and Juana Dance and Dania and all the different country swing instructors. And I'll look through their classes and say, okay, I want to teach that today. And in those recaps, I actually get, what did they start the class with? What drills did they do? How did they go through them, and how did they end? So I get my whole like syllabus basically that way. So it's a really cool resource that just kind of takes the guesswork out of what I'm teaching. And I think it's much better than finding a TikTok video and trying to figure out what it is they're doing without recognizing there's a lot of intricate techniques that you don't see. So I can recreate it, and also, at my skill level, I believe I'm able to recreate it with technique, but a lot of times that's not the case for people. So that's not my favorite resource when it comes to what to teach. And when it comes to line dances, it just depends on the location. I love teaching in Big Bear out here in California. It's one of my most consistent gigs. I do that every month, once a month. It's also like a little retreat for me every time because it's up in the mountains. But I'm like this, I know that this crowd would really love this, whether or not it's a dance that's popular all over the world. I think this is what's right for this crowd. Here's the age demographic. Here's the levels demographic. What's going to make everyone so happy? That's what I go for. My goal is to please the people, not spread my agenda. So
That's great.
that's where I decide what I'm going to teach.
That's great. And do you have a certain teaching philosophy when it comes to line dancing?
My philosophy is there's no such thing as 2 left feet.
There we go.
So if you set it up right, if you instill the confidence in the people, and if you teach it in a way that is absorbable on multiple different levels, then everyone should be able to learn. Doesn't mean everyone gets it perfectly, but everyone should be able to learn, and no one should have to walk off your floor. And these are things that we teach in the Kickstart instructor training program. A lot of little techniques like this that people don't realize or never would have thought of, that can really, just one little thing can really make it such a different experience in a positive way for students.
Yeah, I absolutely love the Kickstart instructor program kit. it's the amount of resources is unbelievable. And it's not just material resources like videos and other things, it's the human resources. Like you can talk to all of these instructors like Adia and everybody else that have been through everything. They can guide you on anything that you run into in your whole line dance experience or partner dance experience. Everybody, the people have done it hundreds of times before.
Oh yeah.
So we really appreciate all the things that you've put into that and all that put into that.
Thank you. I say it's the program I wish I had when I would have started. So I didn't have to go over as many speed bumps, because we're all going to have speed bumps. We're all going to have bumps in the road, but like, hey, here's a little bit of a shortcut, a little bit of a roadmap. And for people who've been teaching, actually, it's interesting. Most of our students are already instructors and have been for anywhere from a year to 5 years, 10 years. We even have someone who's been teaching 15 years. I'm like, you've been teaching double the amount of time I've been teaching. What can we offer you? But they're having a blast learning a lot. So that's the goal. It's not about, I thank you for the shout out. It's not about me and what I contributed. I'm just one little piece of what so many other people have made possible. I'm just bringing it into one spot for everyone to be able to learn. But I learned so much from all the pros that we have on our podcast. It's really neat.
It's that network and all the experience that network brings. It's incredible.
Absolutely.
So one tip for instructors and things, like how do you handle kind of the different skill levels that you run into in a class? Like a lot of times people will show up and half the class will be new and half the class will be experienced. How do you handle that?
That's a really great question. And it definitely can kind of change from class to class depending on the goal of the class. I think that's one of the first things to know for yourself. Is this a class full of couples who are wanting to improve a relationship and they're all different skill levels? Is this a class full of bar goers who still have their purse on their arm and a drink in their hand and they just want to have a good time? So I will cater what I do based on what the class needs and who's in it and what their purpose is for being there. I like to always start with basics and fundamentals. Even if I fly through them, that gives our very brand new beginners somewhere to start. And if we skip the somewhere to start, then we lose a whole bunch of people who right from the beginning. And I'll give you a little tip for how I assess where people's level is. But so always going over fundamentals, always going over basics, even if it's just for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, that's gonna hit your beginners. Then from there, as I teach, I always have kind of like a version A, B, C, or a level 1, 2, 3. As I progress, I make sure to say two things. Number one, I speak to the leads and I say, wherever you want to work on is your prerogative. You do not have to move on with us right now. Like if you just want to drill this in, please do that. That's going to make you a better dancer. And I empower them to hang back and work on the basic. And then I speak to the follows and I say, and sometimes I do this actually at the beginning of class. I huddle them up and I tell them this thing. If you've ever seen me run a workshop this way, you'll now know what I tell the follows if you've not been a follower in my class. But I tell them, I say, the key to the success of this class is going to have a lot to do with the confidence of our leads. So the more you can be encouraging, the more you can smile and nod, the more you can be a good partner on the other end of that line, meaning you're patient, you're encouraging, you give feedback so they know when they can improve, but you do it gently. I start the follows off with this information, and that in and of itself will progress the learning in a way that a lot of that without doing it, it just really makes a big difference. So when I'm working with different levels, I give them permission to hang back, but I've already prepped the follows saying, if they hang back, we're supporting that. And that's a big deal because they can go from one lead and then be a beginner lead, and then they can go to the next lead and then be a higher level lead. And you appreciate the beginner and you appreciate the higher level. And you make sure the beginner knows you appreciate them, and you make sure the higher level makes sure you knows you appreciate them. And that's a tip I have for working with different levels and having everyone be successful where they're at and being confident with where they're at and being okay with where they're at, not feeling like they have to jump ahead.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I have seen that in pretty much every event that I've been at with you, is that you're focusing on making sure everybody gets the most out of their individual experience at the event. It's really, really incredible. A little bit about like your influences and inspiration, like who or what types of things give you the biggest inspiration or have influenced you in your dance journey?
You're just full of amazing questions. I think there's a couple people who come to mind, and oh gosh, there's so many people come to mind now. I'm like, stop it, all the names are coming. But one of my first initial influences was Jo Thompson-Szymanski. She had a different radiance about her than anyone else that I saw. There was something so inviting and sweet and kind. And then to know that she was like one of the leading, most popular, most beloved, most well-known instructors and choreographers in the world, I thought, wow, this is one of the most down-to-earth people. I want to be like that. Like, I want that to be me as well. So I feel like I had a really great example in that very early on in 2018 when I went to Vegas Dance Explosion. Jo and I have sat down and had lunch. She came to the Edge and taught at the Edge 2024, and just like was such a beautiful presence who was just so willing to be a part of exactly what we were doing versus versus any sort of judgment as to how this is different than maybe what she was used to. So I feel like she's been a really great model for me. I've also seen people like Jennifer Cameron and Rachel McEnany, who in their like high status and their high level of experience have been willing to take the time to mentor, support, or encourage someone like me. And I think that when leaders do that, the impact goes so much further than that one person. And that's like, I mean, I feel like I'm a great example of that because these three women in particular have had that impact on me, and everything has stemmed from that. So.
Yeah, I would totally agree. I've seen them at all of their own events and other events. They are absolutely incredible, complete leaders in not just dance, but just in humanity. They're so nice to everybody. And it's so refreshing to see that.
Yeah.
That's great. What you already kind of told us, one of your most memorable achievements in line dances was able to win and go to Europe and teach. Is there any other kind of memorable moment that you want to share with us, or any achievement that you've had in your career?
Well, I would say that talking about influence, one of my favorite moments and ongoing moments is the fact that this dance journey of mine has opened up the doors and opportunity for my son to dance. And given that, so I have three kids. Aaron is 21 now, Avalon is 17, and Abel is 15. And 2 years ago, as Aaron is graduating high school and moving into adulthood, I'm thinking like as a mom, like, okay, this is it. This is that part of life where like I kind of disconnect with my kid and they're going to go their own way. And then maybe at some point we become friends. And instead he fell in love with the dance, and he started coming to my events and teaching with me and learning. And so instead of us going in separate directions, we got so much closer. And I'm like, I hang out with my 19-year-old like on a regular basis. I hang out with my 20-year-old on a regular basis. And that is just one of the biggest, best gifts, ongoing gifts, most memorable moments, yeah, that I have ever had. And now he is an all-star in West Coast Swing, and he coaches me in West Coast Swing. And to be at a competition where I'm competing and he's given me a pep talk, and I know that it all stemmed from the beginning. It stemmed from me walking into that bar that very first day. And I think that's pretty incredible.
Yeah, I love it when I see him out there dancing and dancing with you and teaching. I mean, he's just progressed so quickly. It's just amazing. He's such a good dancer.
Oh my gosh. I just, if you ever see me watching him, I'm just sitting here, got
Yes.
my phone. I'm like, I can't, I rarely will judge a competition he's in because I just want to watch him just be a cheerleader. Like, yeah, that's my boy.
Yep. No, it's one of the happiest things in life for sure. So a little bit about community and culture, which I know that you're big into. Like, how do you see the line dance community evolving in the future?
Well, as I mentioned before, I think the dance space is so precious and should be protected. So my hope for the future is that as line dancing progresses and as more people come into the industry, especially as leaders, that they would keep in mind that fact that this is a very precious and sacred space, and it's part of our responsibility to help keep it that way. And as leaders, we influence the community big time, the way we talk, the way we move, the way we interact with people. So I think as long as we keep having leaders step up, that is also their philosophy, that it's not driven by ego and it's not driven by purely money. Money is great and I'm all about it. And I love making money and providing opportunities for people to make money. But when it's the driving force and it's not in balance with your heart for the community, I think it's really detrimental for the community. So my hope for the future is that there will be more people who will continue to have that mindset and that perspective on that dance space and the people who come into it.
Absolutely. And what role do you think line dancing and dancing in general plays in kind of bringing community together? What have you seen?
Oh man, such a huge role, especially the more I learn about vibrations and how, when we're moving in sync together, it's a very healing feeling. And I think this is my own hypothesis, but I think that even like clapping together, the physical, the sound, the vibrations that are created in so many different ways, it's a force of positivity. So we're creating these just like euphoric containers everywhere we go with great music and great movement and great people. And that's that kind of goes into one of our catchphrases or our slogans for Kickstart, which is good times, good vibes, good people. Like that's what we're about. So that's what we're always seeking to create. So as long as that is happening, community will grow and people will feel included and accepted and excited. And yeah, so that's how I think it can really build community, like keeping those things in mind. But it's also a matter of making the fun line dancing accessible for those who feel like they have two left feet, for those who don't have the confidence to get out on the dance floor yet, or even step into a bar. So making it accessible for them in a way that they then do feel confident that they can get through a dance or step into a bar, whether it be by themselves or with friends. So encouragement and motivation to get them there, because the more people who are dancing, the more opportunity for healing, for restoration, for fun, for recreation, for building friendships, building communities, meeting people who are forever special to you.
Yeah. And I also love the sound in the dance floor when everybody's in sync and, the line that's moving together and the stomps are perfect. And it's just it's such a cool thing that you don't get anywhere else. You get that community moving together.
Yeah, those, and I meant to say also the stomping. Thanks for mentioning that. Like I was saying, like the clapping, the stomping, those are like creating. I just imagine like sparkles on the ground with every stomp. It's like a burst of beautiful energy, and we all get to be in that together. It's a really cool feeling.
We just need more dance floors like Saturday Night Fever, where that lights up every time you stomp.
Ah, there we go.
So what's your favorite thing about line dancing?
My favorite thing about line dancing is the fact that you can express yourself in so many different ways through the movements. So I love, my favorite thing is that there are so many different genres of music. So between a slow waltz type line dance or a fiery cha-cha type line dance or an East Coast swing or jive, like I love the being able to express yourself in these different ways through these different movements and genres.
Nice. Yeah, it's beautiful, beautiful. So what a little bit advice and tips, like what advice do you tend to give to somebody who's just starting out line dancing?
Biggest advice is this is your journey and it doesn't need to be compared with anyone else's, because as soon as we start looking to the right and to the left and comparing our day 1 to their day 30 or day 500, it can really put us in a place where we don't have the confidence or not feel empowered to move forward. So just remembering like wherever you're at is exactly where you're supposed to be. I believe that in and of itself help people learn and progress faster than they would if they're constantly feeling like they're having to catch up or follow the crowd.
Nice. And what tips do you have for improving your line dance skills for those?
I would say the first tip would just be to practice. So the more the more you practice, the more it's familiar, and the different styles and genres that you learn, the more different movements and library of movements you'll have to kind of pull from. So yeah, when I first started line dancing, I would literally go home. First of all, I was super blessed because there was line dancing next to me 6 days a week for 2 hours of classes a day. And so I went at least 3, sometimes 5 days a week, sometimes 6, and I would learn 3 to 4 dances every night. And then I would wake up in the morning and I would practice those dances for a couple hours. I homeschooled at the time. I worked from home, so I had the time and space to do that. But even if you're in the car or in the coffee break or something like that, the more repetition you get, the easier it all gets. Another tip would be, if the instructor is saying words out loud, if they're calling the steps, for you to also repeat those steps that they're calling, because that kind of adds another level and layer of memory, of the ability to memorize and remember what it is that you're learning. So we include the kinesthetic, but also the audio. If they're doing any hand movements, whether or not anyone else in the crowd is doing it, you do them. If you do what the instructor does, you're adding just even more layers of intelligence to really be able to apply and learn these dances and retain them.
Nice. And given all the events that you're doing with all over the country now with the Kickstart and all the other circuit events that you do and that you teach at, what advice do you give for a dancer that is going to their very first event? What should they expect? What should they be thinking of?
Well, I'll give a couple things that I think are really neat, and I don't know how many people do one of these things, but first of all, again, it's your journey. There's always going to be more, so don't feel like you have to do every single thing. I would suggest that people look at the schedule and decide make a decision beforehand where they think they want to spend their time, and then be open to adjusting as they see other opportunities. That, like, so for example, I would like highlight all the classes I want, but then during like the demonstrations, I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I want to take this class instead. So just kind of having like a starting point for yourself, so you don't walk in and just be completely like kind of oblivious to what you're going to want to do beforehand. For a line dance event where you've got the actual songs that are going to be taught, what I used to do when I went to a lot of line dance conventions is I would create a playlist of all the songs. I wouldn't necessarily try to learn the dance online, but I would just create a playlist of all the songs that I knew I wanted to learn, and I would play those songs over and over. That way, when I got into the class as the instructor's teaching, I have the song in my head already. So I'm able to match the moves with the song and the counts with the song, so that when they played the music, it wasn't my first time hearing it or feeling like I was dancing to it, because I'd been dancing to it all class, because I had the song in my head and I was able to kind of do it as we went along. And that has helped me learn dances way faster than I would have if I was just learning straight from like that moment in the class.
Yeah,
So
that's great. That's great advice. Yeah, because it just gives you a better comfort level when you're starting to try to learn it.
yeah.
That's great. So, little fun part of the podcast, we're going to start some of the rapid fired questions for you.
Okay.
So, question number one, I always ask: cowboy boots or fuegos? What's your favorite?
Always cowboy boots.
All right, awesome. Coffee, Starbucks or Dunkin'?
Starbucks, but I typically get a chai tea latte.
Oh, there we go. Yep, that's fairly popular. So, what's your favorite dance event or dance events during the year and why?
Oh my goodness. Well, I'll plug my own. I'll say all my Kickstart events. I can't choose just one, but the one
Yep.
that began all of the events kind of in this realm was the Edge Dance event. And so that one's coming up at the time of this podcast in about a month, April 4th through 6th, 2025. And I think it's a really, really, really special event. But all my events are unique and have something about them that is very atmospheric and feels very like aligned with that event. So they're kind of all my favorites.
And
And
are you at Edge you doing at California Ranch Company?
this year it's at the California Ranch Company. Yes.
Yeah, that was when we first launched the app. That was the event that I was like, this is the big launch. It was such a great event. It's such a cool venue. Adia does a great job out there. Temecula is a super cool place. So everybody has to go to Temecula at some point.
They have to. They have to. If you haven't experienced the Edge and Temecula, like the two go hand in hand. It's pretty amazing. So, and yes, I was so excited to be promoting the Bring the Fun app. And I know that it's a staple now for so many dancers. It's just like, that's where they go.
Yep.
That's where they
And I
go.
think California all started exploding from that first event out there. So really appreciate that. So another question, rapid fire. So what's your all-time favorite 3 line dances?
Okay, I would definitely say Heartache on the Dance Floor by Stephen Pistoia, I think it
Yep,
is.
Steve. Yep.
Yep, that one, like I'll be on the dance floor every time. Ain't Misbehavin', Joe Thompson and Scott Blevins is another favorite.
Yep, both those are incredible.
The third one, I mean, at this point, I feel like there's a lot of them that are equal, but Nothing But You by Darren Bailey definitely stands out to me. That one had a big impact on. If you look up Adia Dance on YouTube, I did a series of line dance music videos where I brought the line dance to life, like by telling a story through a music video with a whole bunch of people. And so that one is one of those that really stands out as a special video. So I love that dance.
Fantastic. And what's your most recent favorite dance that's come out?
Oh, goodness gracious. My most recent favorite dance is the first dance I ever choreographed with my son. So it's Smoke by Walker Hayes, or Walker Hayes is the artist. But the reason why it's my most recent favorite is because, again, I choreographed it with my son. And who would have thought in a million years I'd be choreographing a freaking line dance with my own child? So whether or not the dance is amazing, doesn't matter. That one's my most recent favorite.
Awesome. And anywhere that you haven't danced that you want to dance, is there like a bucket list place that you haven't been yet that you want to dance?
Well, I say this is a bucket list place that I'm actually hired to go to this year, and that would be Italy. So I'm excited to line dance
Oh,
in Italy
awesome.
this year in June at the Voghera Dance Festival.
Fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Have you done the Catalina, the more Italian? That's the
I have
style.
tried and I have tried and tried and tried. So I should probably brush up on some Catalan skills. But yeah, I learned Holy Moly at least 3 times. I'm like, why won't this stay? My body does not move that way very easily. But I'm excited. I have a couple friends that I met while I was in Spain teaching last year who are going to be there. And I'm excited for the opportunity because Italy is one of my favorite places. And I'm excited to go back in this capacity.
Yeah, congratulations. That'll be phenomenal. That will be
Thank you.
phenomenal. Any funny or unexpected stories in all your travels or in your dance journey?
Okay, I'm just going to share it because it's the only thing that popped to mind right now. There's been way too many times. What I mean by way too many is like around 4 or 5 that I have not adequately locked a bathroom door at a dance event and had someone walk in. So lock those doors and check them twice.
All right. If you're at an event with Adia, make sure you knock on the door before you open.
Yes, exactly. I'm like, how is this happening again? This is so embarrassing and also hilarious. Hello, now we are friends on a whole new level.
Very good. Very good. Well, you know that I'm big into, motivation and thinking outside the box and dreaming huge. So what for you is your 10x dream? Where do you think that this possibly could go in your life?
Oh gosh, I have a lot of 10x dreams, Todd, but I will
That's
give you.
great. Well, that's why I love you. That's why I love you.
So, when is this airing?
What's your 10x dream for you and your
Yeah.
line
Okay.
dance experience or your dance experience? Where do you think it could possibly go
So
10x?
my 10x dream is to reach millions for line dance, to give them exposure and give them the opportunity. Because I remember when I found it, I would think I was like 38 at the time or so, 37, 38. I'm like, how have I gone this long and not known this existed? So I would like to close that gap in a big, big way. So my 10x dream is to reach millions through some sort of program that would introduce people to the opportunity so that they have the ability to decide if it's something for them. Yeah. So I'll kind of leave it at that. I'm working on something now and we'll see. But that's what I was sharing earlier. It's for the non-dancer because everyone was once a non-dancer. So how do we expose and let people see this opportunity? And that's why it takes a nation of nation worth of instructors who are continuing to create the space and the bar managers and DJs and all the people who are associated with creating those spaces and those atmospheres. We need everyone always. And I always say there's enough to go around. So that's a big thing I'd love to make sure I say on this podcast. We don't have to hoard. They are not my students. They are not my event goers. They belong to no one. They're a part of the world, and we just get to create experiences, and the right people are going to be drawn to us, the people who need us in
I'm
whatever
with
way
you.
that is.
I'm totally with you. We get the million people out there for sure. And that's why I say like the Bring the Fun app is the app for every line dancer, but every single person has the potential to be a line dancer. So
Yes.
it's for everybody. I mean, the amount of joy and love and every positive thing about dancing is there for everybody. So I'm right next to you for that, for sure.
Yes. Yes. So let's reach the people.
Yep. So tell us a little bit about, do you do anything or what do you do outside of line dance and couples dancing on the dance side?
Well, I love spending time with my kids as much as possible. And my daughter and I, we have weekly coffee dates. And I live in Southern California, which so far I feel like is just the most, in general, like beautiful place because I've got the best of all the worlds, the mountains, the desert, the beach. I love spending time at the ocean. So I a lot of times like I don't post it most of the time, but sometimes I'll give a little glimpse into my work day. I spend a lot of time at the computer. I spend a lot less time dancing and a lot of time creating the opportunities for other people to dance. So yeah, so that's typically what I'm doing. Got a new really awesome relationship with the man that I'm with, and we really enjoy.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you. Yes, we enjoy all things that aren't dance because he's not a dancer. So we do lots of different things that have nothing to
That's
do with
great.
dance. But I
That's
love
great.
dance and he's learning. But I tell him he doesn't need to be a dancer because I've got lots of dance friends, lots of dance
Mhm.
partners.
Exactly. Anything that you can tell us about you that the line dance community doesn't know about you?
I would say in general, the line dance community, they don't know that before dance, my presence on social media was like a very inspirational presence. Like that's kind of what I chose to use it for. So I did quotes and positive things. But during my depression, I basically just kind of shut up and I just went silent and dark. And so when I reemerged into onto social media with dance, I don't think that anyone would have known that that was where my heart was kind of to begin with, to be like an inspiration on like a really deep spiritual emotional level. And so now that's what people are witnessing with seeing the all out as is, the all out wellness, the retreat you mentioned. This is like my infusion of the two passions, the dance, that physical passion, but also the passion to inspire and empower people, and yeah, bringing those together. So a lot of people don't know that. They think that this is kind of new what I'm doing, but this is actually what's most aligned with who I am and who I was. And there was just kind of a period of time where I wasn't able to be that way for others because I was working on myself. So yeah.
Yeah, and I was super excited to see that you're starting to do these retreats and things. So tell us about how that's going. Tell us about what it's involving.
Oh yeah. So for me, when I entered that first dance floor back in 2017, I was in a really deep depression and nobody knew it. And I not even the people who were closest to me knew, which is not something I recommend. I recommend opening your mouth and sharing because people do love you and they support you and they want to know what you're going through. But I personally was going through a lot of stuff alone, and the dance floor became a healing space for me. And so I wanted to just get to the dance floor, like get to the bar. Like the drive there may have been really tough, but once I got there, everything would be okay. And as dance really started to help transform my life and give me more confidence and give me more ability just to be okay off the dance floor, I then took my healing journey on a whole different level and did more of like an energetic and a spiritual healing as well. And so my goal with the retreats and with the all out wellness portion of what I'm doing is to help people heal and be well in every area of their life, both on but now also off the dance floor. So that's where a lot of my influences, kind of a lot of my attention is going, because I know how it is to be on your drive to the bar and have life suck, and then be in your element and everything is wonderful, and then have to go home and go back into what it is that you're feeling. So I'm looking to really help build and empower and heal and inspire people on and off the dance floor
Yeah,
through
well, we
my
appreciate
feedback.
we appreciate you everything you do on and off the dance floor. It's so great to see that. And I'm glad that you share it with everybody as well, that you show people that this can happen, that they can feel better, that they can do these things
Yeah.
to help themselves.
Yeah, when what was unique about the As Is Dance and Wellness Retreat was that dance is really the thing that kind of brought us together. That's what brought the people, because that's my audience. That's my main audience. But while there, we had so many different activities that had absolutely nothing to do with dance. So we had workshops. One of the core activities were workshops that were based on like goal setting, dreaming, healing, reviving, reigniting, things like that. But we also did martial arts and gun safety training and shooting target practice with no fire in the firearms, no bullets. We did cold plunges, so it was like an internal healing, but then like an external expression of like empowerment and confidence and building people up in these different areas. So as much as it was, like I said, dance brought us together. We danced. We definitely had a couple dance parties. We even had a couple dance lessons. But in general, it was more about the whole being and really touching on different aspects of our personality, of our masculine, feminine, of the different things that might be bringing us down, or just maybe you're already in a good place, but you want to be even better. That's the kind of retreat that it was, and that I know of. There's nothing like that in our dance industry at this time. So I really wanted to kind of innovate and bring something to the table that wasn't already there. I feel like that's a lot of what I do. It's kind of how things have worked out. I feel like I do a lot of innovation, and then other people are like, oh, cool, let me do that too, which is amazing, because the more the better. And then I'm like, okay, let me innovate something different. Let me create something different. This doesn't happen yet. This hasn't happened yet. And then little by little, I see, uh, someone or a company or a group or whatever it is, like, hey, that's a good idea. Let's do that too. So I love being kind of a leader in innovation at this time, at least to some people in this
Yeah, well, I
industry.
think the retreat is you're always inspiring in every way, and that the retreat is just another expression of that. It's really incredible. Are you doing it at the same location, or are you moving the locations around, or?
My intention would not be to do it at the same location. The intention would be similar to the dance events, to be able to have them different places so that more people are able to come from those different areas. So if I always have it in California, then it's only the people who can make it to California or who live nearby who can come. But if I bring it to different areas of the globe, then I'm just providing an opportunity in those different regions as well. So that's
Uh,
the goal right now. Although the location that I had was absolutely amazing. Oh my goodness. Just one of my team members who actually lives in the Philippines, she's the one who found it, and it was just the most brilliant find ever.
yeah,
So,
that's incredible. That's incredible. So a little bit about some of the trends and observations that you have being in the industry. What current trends are you seeing in the dance world? Like what's going on?
from my angle, one of the biggest trends is the competitions. So I love competitions because I think it's a beautiful like next step for people who are for students who are just graduating high school or college. Like, it's something that they get to kind of do that feels like competition in one way or another to what they were doing. So whether that be dance, cheer, or any sort of competitive sport, it like satisfies this desire for competition. And I think this is a really healthy way for people to satisfy the desire versus having it play out in other types of areas of their life. So I think the competitions are definitely a huge trend. I mean, you can have, I did it. I'll have like 5 or 6 competitions all within a radius where people are able to drive to all of them, and people will come to all of them. So,
Yeah.
and they're just happening all over the world, all over the country, all over the United States. So yeah, I think competitions are a huge trend, and clearly you've got some involvement in that
Yeah,
trend.
yeah. So yeah, George Blick from Nashville Palace and myself and several other people were doing the biggest one all over the country. We're doing 25 venues, with the finals going to be down in Nashville in December. So yeah, it's really the competitions are incredible. But I always tell people if they go out to California and Arizona, those people compete like 4 or 5 nights a week. I
Yeah.
mean, there's so much competitions out there. Like in the East Coast, if you get like one a month or something here or there. You
Yeah.
you guys really do the competitions out there in California and Arizona.
Oh
It's
yeah, it's
great.
true. Well, and I love what you guys are doing. And it's a couple years ago, we're like, man, we don't have a line dance like series that's just for line dance. And I'm like, I don't have the energy for that right now. So I'm so glad that you guys decided to do it, because I'm like, cool.
Yep.
That's an exciting thing. It's something for people to really look forward to. It's its own, it is unique in this like realm of country dance, that there would be a pure line dance competition that's traveling the nation. I think it's amazing.
Yep. Yeah. And we're trying to go to as many states as possible too for the first year. So it's really, really fun. Really fun. So standard Western line dance competition. It's really, really good. The showdown.
The
So
show.
anyway, and we'll be in the Nashville Dance Fest in Nashville Palace there too. So it's going to be super fun. We have a huge group from Virginia coming down to see you. So
I'm so excited.
it'll be fun. So other things in the line dance trends and observations, what are your thoughts on kind of like the variety of line dance certifications out there?
I love that. I love when people want to learn, when people want to improve what it is that they're doing. One of my favorite things that people say to me when they come into the KIT program is I ask them why. Like, you don't need a certification, so why? And they say, because I want to be the best I can for the people who I'm teaching, and I know I have more to learn. So I think it's amazing for people to have more to learn. So for those who are choosing to share their knowledge, for those who are choosing to break their backs and put so much time and effort, however they're creating a program so that other people can have a roadmap or can, experience an up-leveled training opportunity. I think that's amazing.
I agree. I agree. Yeah, the more people can learn, the more they can be helpful to everybody. So, and we're always learning. Doesn't matter if you're in it for 5 years or 20 years, you're always learning new things. So, I mean, you've been in it for a while. How do you kind of stay on top of the new styles, new techniques, all of that?
One of my favorite ways to do that is through our it's through my own program because it's the virtual live training. I'm bringing industry professionals and they're teaching me the new things and I get to learn alongside everyone else in the program. So I think that's actually one of my biggest resources is being able to interview people who are really good at what they do and who are ever growing at what they do, and then getting their tips and advice that I'm able to apply to myself. So I think it's really great to delve into other styles of dance because you get a variety of movement that you may not have experienced before, and that ultimately is going to make you a better dancer. And if you want to choreograph, it's going to give you more like insight on ways to move your body. So yeah, so like just varying it up. And the line dance conventions in particular that have been going on for years and years all around the country that so many line dancers, so many people don't know about, which is another reason that why I started the Edge was because I'm like, I want to show people this world. Like I went to line dance, Vegas Dance Explosion. I want to get people there. But I know this is a hard sell from a free bar night where you danced for $5 or for free if you're wearing short shorts, or maybe just because you're a lady. And, from going from that to paying 150, 180, $200 for a 3, 4, 5, 6 day event, it's like a hard sell. So I wanted to create something that was kind of like a bridge event in the middle of that so that people could see the opportunity. But yeah, just getting that variety and knowing that there's more out there. And if there's more, like I always say, it's like Disneyland. You can walk into Disneyland, it's going to be incredible. There's going to be lights, there's going to be sounds, there's going to be smells and experiences. But imagine you stay right there. I feel like that's where a lot of dancers live. It's just at the entrance of Disneyland.
Yeah.
Imagine if you
You've been
walk.
able to bring amazing people out to Temecula as well. When you did the VIP thing with the Robert Royston, I mean,
Yeah.
that was so incredible. I was like just in listening to him teach some of the techniques and things.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And the fact that Thompson Jamansky was out at the Edge. I mean, for people in that area in California to be able to get exposure to
Oh
that,
my gosh.
incredible.
Absolutely. Exactly. So that is the walking into the Disneyland. That's the going beyond the beginning and like actually seeking something more. So yeah. Yeah. Robert Royston coming from the East Coast, Joe Thompson Szymanski, that was her first time ever at the Edge or ever teaching at any one of our like country events, this new realm of country events. And we've had Ben Morris. We've had this year, we're having Tebow and Nicole Ramirez, which are
Oh,
just like my
incredible.
dream team. And it's, sometimes people can get a little spoiled, I think, or like, hey, I always see these people. But I mean, if you look a little bit closer, like there's opportunities out there and it's awesome to take advantage of them because it will make dancing even more fun than it already is, as if that were possible. But it
Yep.
is.
And yeah, and this is such a unique industry where you can literally be standing or dancing with one of the top people in the entire industry. Like,
Yep.
and they're just, you sit there and talk to them. It's
Yep.
not like, some industries where you're never gonna ever talk to the top
Yep.
people.
There's
They're
gates
super,
and
super
fences and
personal. Yep.
security in between you. Yeah. Nope,
Yep.
not here.
Exactly. Cool. So a little bit about performances and competitions. So I know you've done line dance competitions. I know you've done choreography personally.
Mhm.
So I just want to kind of get your view on those two, and how do you prepare, or how did you prepare for the two types of competitions?
For the choreography and the line dance.
Yeah.
Let's see. So for choreography competitions, depending on the rules, some of the advice that was given to me that I took, and I think it was really good advice, and I will share this with others, is that if you're able to have more people dance with you, then that kind of like raises the vibration of your dance. And I think it presents even better. As long as, in some cases at least, they're dancing the dance the way that you want the dance portrayed, because everyone's style is awesome and unique, but also sometimes people's style may not actually illustrate like how the dance is supposed to look. So I would just say be aware of that. But then also uniformity. So when I did competitions for when I was competing choreography, my crew, whoever was dancing with me, we had matching outfits. We walked out in uniform, like we walked out like in formation. They knew like I would have them like keep it vanilla and let me be more like expressive, so that we were making sure that the judges got to see the basic dance, but also like what it could look like with a little bit more flair. So just having a plan and having like, having a plan, having a plan, having it look clean, and having looking cohesive went a long way, I believe, and just presenting my package. It was a really nice packaging of my dance, and I think that was a really neat tip that someone gave me.
Awesome. And you
Um,
executed it, and take the advice of the woman that's been out there and has done it and been successful at it. This is what it takes.
And then
That's
the other
good.
thing would be to be okay with leaving your heart out there, and that'll go into the line dance competition. My biggest advice is have the most freaking fun. And the reason why is when you're having the most freaking fun, that shows. And that projects, that energy goes so much further than just doing hard stuff or lots of spins or whatever. When you're doing lots of spins and you're having the best time, now you are just a magnet for the judges to just want to watch you. So the more you can keep the judges' eyes on you, the longer you can keep the judges' eyes on you, the better, because then they have more opportunity to see what you're actually capable of, versus in general, and I tell competitors this all the time, you have about 7 to 10 seconds per judge for them to make a judgment on your dance. You have about 7 to 10 seconds. So if you can extend that time for any amount that you can extend that time, as long as you're, doing really great, then that's in your best interest. So get their eyes over to you and then keep them there. And loving the dance and expressing, like just really dancing from your heart and letting it all just pour out, that's going to bring that energy towards you, which gets you more time, which then will get you, potentially that placement or that higher score, depending. It's all depending on who else is on the dance floor as well. But it will also give you a huge sense of satisfaction no matter what happens. No matter what happens in placements, you will have a huge sense of satisfaction knowing that you were not competing against the person to your right. You were not competing against the person to your left. You were competing with yourself and
Yep.
having just the best possible time. And
Yep. Do
then,
your absolute best
yeah,
and enjoy it. Yep.
enjoy
Because
it.
you never know what the judges are going to do or whatever. But
Exactly.
if
You
you
can't
know that
control.
dance so well that you can do it perfectly, and have be able to look at the judges and give them a smile while you're doing the dance and doing your spins. They're like, okay, they know the dance. They're awesome. Yeah.
Yep.
You get the best chance you got.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Any advice you give to like more veteran dancers, people that are doing a lot of competition at the higher levels, like the pro level or the all stars, or any advice you have for them? Is there like that extra little something that they have to get to the top?
One piece of advice would be to just remember why you're there. Remember why you started, because that's going to bleed through. That's going to be the difference between you and the person who forgets why they're there. And so they're not being authentic. When you lose authenticity, I think you set yourself back. The more authentic you can be, the better your chances of rising in the ranks. And it's my guess that you're there because you love to dance, you love the atmosphere, whatever it is. So just remember why you're there. And then this is advice for the higher level. You don't have to be a technical dancer to do really well, but because the level of line dancing is raising so much, there are certain techniques that are going to be looked on highly upon, because when you've got a whole bunch of people who are looking about the same level, what is that next layer of technique? Straight knees when you're doing certain moves, pointed feet, which you can't really do in cowboy boots, which breaks my heart. So, but you could use suede, like, or some sort of design that does allow you to extend your feet, or like use a dance sneaker that allows you to point your feet. But those little techniques do become more important the higher level you go, because there's got to be a way for judges to start to kind of decide what makes someone different. This is a reason, Todd, that I believe in an all-out as-is approach to dancing. And that doesn't mean that there shouldn't be regulations sometimes. For example, if we're in a small location, it's probably better to not allow for aerials inside it if it's in a small location. I'm a former gymnast. I love aerials. I'm a former cheerleader. I love all types of aerials. I also think that there's just like aerials with partner dancing, there's some competitions where it's a good fit and others where it may not be. But I believe when you have that ability to express yourself all out as is, you get to pull from those different skills that you have learned, and you get to incorporate them and infuse them into line dancing. And I think it makes things so much fun, and it allows for the competitive level to keep raising up. So I'm a huge component. I'm a huge supporter of the all out as is like mindset, and also recognizing that there's also, it's not always the place for it. If you've got 50 people on a competitive dance floor and everyone doesn't have too much space, that might be the type of event that we say at this one. There's not going to be aerials, just like in a partner dance. Sometimes, depending on the location, lifts are not allowed for one reason or another. So yeah, so as you raise and rank, the technique's going to matter, the variety matters, the way you interpret music is going to matter more and more and more. So like, have the best time. Have the best time being creative is my advice.
Fantastic. So now on to the future. What's next up for you? What are you excited about for this next year?
I'm excited to continue to inspire and empower at a level that has like multiplying effects. So I am continuing to build dance events and that, and those there's an amount of people. There is a maximum amount of people who can come to these, but I believe that by training and empowering instructors, I've now, what's the word? It's so simple. It's a math word that talks about like exponential. I'm exponentially growing the influence.
Nice.
By working with one instructor, I've now been able to impact hundreds. So that's really where a lot of my focus is building the instructors, because they're the ones who build the communities. And there's only one of me, but there's a lot more instructors, and that gives the opportunity for a lot more people to join. So that's a huge focus of mine, is the Kickstart Instructor Training Program, and doing my best to equip people and get people started, or just up level them from wherever they're at so that they can be, even more effective in the communities that they're a part of.
Yeah, well, I'm happy to be part of your multiplier effect. So the more
Yay!
people meet people, we get out and we see, we're going to get to 1 million that way. That's the only way you're going to get there, is if you empower everybody else. So
Right.
you are a great empowerer for sure.
Thank you. And I want to congratulate you on the stuff I'm seeing you're doing. I
It's
remember
super fun. I'm just here to have fun. That's all.
I love it. That's perfect, though. That's exactly how it should be, because your fun inspires other people and gives them the freedom to also let loose and have fun and enjoy. And I remember when we first started talking about this, what was it, like May 2023 or so, somewhere around those lines. In fact, you were one of the original members of the KIT program, so I thank you
Yep.
for.
No, I was the first in the first VIP. I think the first 50 VIP members.
Yep. Yep. And so you weren't even really teaching at that time. You're just like,
No, I'm like, I want to, and now I am teaching, but yeah, that I, prefer to dance, but people want me to teach, and I'll do that too.
yeah, it's awesome to see everything that you're doing. I appreciate all you're doing in the community.
Well, I love it. I love it. So how do the listeners get a hold of you? How do they contact you? What's your social?
Awesome question. So you can find me Adia Dance. So at Adia Dance, ADIA Dance, Adia like quesadilla. It was a hindrance when I was a child, but it's a great tool when I'm an adult to say quesadilla. But Adia Dance on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, adiadance.com, and then also Kickstart Country. And Kickstart Country, as the umbrella, has lots of different events underneath it that you'll find on the website and also on our social media. Another effort that I'm creating to reach the new dancers or people who haven't found dance yet is called Country Dance Simplified. And so there I'm just doing simple moves, breaking down simple moves. So if you have any friends who don't know where to start, who just aren't ready to get out on the dance floor with you, lead them over to Country Dance Simplified, because we'll teach them the basic steps. And I've got a couple online programs coming out as well, so that they're able to, have learning all in one place. I always say YouTube is amazing and can also be very overwhelming, because it's like, well, which one? What's right? How do I learn it? And so again, just I'm kind of streamlining it, bringing it into one place. And so Country Dance Simplified on Instagram and Facebook is a great place to find me. And from those three handles, you'll find all the other things.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Adia, thank you so much for being on the Bring the Fun podcast. You definitely bring the fun everywhere you go. You are such a bright light in this industry. We really love you and really appreciate you. You can see everything about line dancing on toddthedatacowboy.com. Make sure you join or subscribe to the YouTube channel, Todd the Data Cowboy, and you'll get connections to all of Adia's things on the links that'll be in this for the podcast. And we'll have all kinds of shorts and fun things, as well as we'll set up a couple challenge lists in the app, in the Bring the Fun app. So we'll find Adia's favorite dances. We'll get them out there for you so everybody can follow which ones she loves.
I love it. Can I give one more little plug or one more?
Absolutely. Go for it.
This is a moment that I just remembered, back to your question about a moment that really stood out. So yep. I'll cut the first part of the story short. And that is that me and my team ended up building 13,000 square feet of dance floor for different events, but to also be able for other people to use and to rent out. And I actually was contracted to do an event to put my floors that we built, these Kickstart floors, at an event. And the people who were dancing with them were the people who I mentioned to you being some of my favorite people and choreographers. So it was absolutely insane to see someone like Darren Bailey dancing on my dance floor, when the reason why that dance floor exists is because he created the dances that inspired me to continue and to teach, and that led down this road. So that was a really amazing, surreal moment for me that happened this past August.
It all comes full circle.
Yeah,
it all comes
absolutely.
back around. Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate you. Can't wait to see you at Nashville Dance Fest this fall with our whole crew, and really looking forward to seeing you all over the country.
Thank you, Todd.
I have one question for you. Who is going to bring the fun?
You're in the honky tonk with Todd the Data Cowboy.